Hi guys, good morning, buongiorno. I'm George and I'm here looking for another spot to paint in Rome. So today I'm on my way to the Fontana dell'Aqua Paola, which is this really beautiful fountain up on quite a high point overlooking Rome. So last time I saw this fountain it was nighttime, but I haven't seen it in the day. This is actually one of the few fountains which is still working at the moment. Most of the fountains in Rome are under construction, but this one, still water flowing from it, and it just looks incredibly beautiful, really impressive. You can see it over there.
I'm painting with oil paint on canvas that I've toned to a light warm grey and taped to a panel. I first start with an undersketch using raw umber paint to draw the contour of the Aqua Paola fountain and mark the key features within it. I'm also sketching in the lines of these various horizontal ledges within the monument, and I'm paying close attention to the angles of these lines as these correlate with the perspective of the building. And if these angles are drawn wrong, the building will look wonky and strange, and the scene will not have a convincing sense of depth to it. When you consider the lines on the building meeting at this vanishing point, none of the lines can be completely parallel, and the lines closest to the horizon will be more flat, whereas the lines further above or below the horizon will have a steeper gradient. Once I've sketched in these arches, I start by massing in the darker areas with a thin wash of paint to help separate the areas of darker tonal value and bring the scene a bit closer to what I see in nature. I find it easier to judge shapes when they're massed in with a tone rather than just looking at lines, as the closer your painting gets to the scene that you're painting, the easier it will be to judge any differences in your painting, and you can just flick your eyes between the two and those differences will start to jump out at you. Here I'm massing in the darkest areas of the trees using a colour mix of raw umber and ultramarine blue. Here I'm sketching in the formation of the clouds in the sky. When painting outdoors, clouds tend to change too quickly to copy the shapes accurately. So here I'm using the clouds more as inspiration and designing their position to draw more impact into my painting. I'm composing the clouds so that they point towards the Aqua Paola fountain and contrast like a mirror image against the perspective lines of the fountain. I start by painting the lightest parts of the clouds that are catching the sunlight using a colour mix of titanium white, yellow ochre and cadmium yellow to create a warm, light glow. Then I paint the sections of clouds in shadow using a colour mix of titanium white, cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson and a small touch of yellow ochre, with the section immediately under this lightest light on the cloud having a bit more cobalt blue and titanium white in the colour mix, and then gradating to a darker purplish hue as it gets lower down further from the section in sunlight. For the section of blue sky, I use a colour mix of titanium white and cobalt blue. Whilst painting the sky, I'm making certain that in spite of the different shifts in value and hue between the sky and the different sections of the clouds, I'm still grouping the values in the sky close together within the light tonal range of my painting, and I'm trying to articulate the variations in the sky more through shifts in colour temperature and chroma to avoid pushing the darks too dark. So if you're wondering about the history of this spectacular monument, the Aqua Paola fountain, it was commissioned by Pope Paul V and was built in 1612 and was the first major fountain built on the left bank of the river Tiber. and it's built on top and fed by an ancient Roman aqueduct built by the Roman Emperor Trajan. To paint the face of the monument, I'm keying the whole section as a dark grey mid-tone, as although the stone is white, this front face of the building is in shadow, and when compared to the sky, it's significantly darker in tonal value. To paint the ground, which is covered with these cobblestones which are iconic to Rome, I'm using a colour mix of ultramarine blue, raw umber, alizarin crimson, titanium white and a small touch of yellow ochre, and I'm painting this section with a soft gradation from lighter on the left to darker on the right. I can then paint on top of this with darker accents between the cobblestones and a few lighter brush strokes where they're catching the light. Now I'm painting the water in the fountain, which has a really nice turquoise colour, and on the left hand side it's much lighter in value as this section is reflecting the sky. I'm now repainting this section of trees and pushing the darks a bit darker in this area. Here I'm adding some figures into the painting which help add a sense of scale to this monument, as everybody knows the size of a person, so therefore when looking at the painting you can imagine just how big this monument is. And it also gives a bit more visual interest to the lower right hand side of the painting.
So I hope you enjoyed that video of me painting the Fontana dell'Aqua Paola. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.